Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining today. I love talking about school choice. So, my name is Maria Solanki, and I know we do have people that have been joining from all over the US, and most of it applies to Florida. But 40, well, I'll get into that in a bit, but some of it applies specifically to Pinellas County. But there's still stuff that you can learn, and then this is what you want to take to your elected officials. This is how you want to vote if some of these aspects don't happen in your school. So a lot of people ask me, oh, I'm not for school choice, or I was talking to someone about a month ago and they go, we still have school choice, right? Or did they take that away? So people don't know. You hear these like headliners with politicians, either for school choice or against school choice. Nobody knows what it is. So hopefully I can clarify it. Let's jump right into it. And I'm going to show you how I break down school choice, and just going to go ahead and throw on this PowerPoint. And we'll go from there. So I break it down into four main groups. And my main groups are the traditional public schools schools run by the district. And then we have charter schools, we have private schools, and we have homeschooling. So in the traditional public schools or schools run by the district, we break that further into, sorry, there's one more. There's the zone schools, which are our neighborhood schools, fundamental schools, magnet schools, and Florida virtual. So for our traditional zone schools, these are the schools you attend based on your address. There's no deadline to enroll. You simply walk into that school. It can be at any point during the year. I mean, obviously best to enroll soon, the sooner, just so they can accommodate you, make sure there's a desk in the classroom, they have books, if they have to open up another classroom, but there's nothing that you have to do. You just sign up based on your address. So they do have to accept everyone. And when there is a failing school, it is more than likely a zone school. This doesn't have to be the case. There's also zone schools that are A-rated schools. We give them grades. So in Pinellas County, though, every single one of the failing school is indeed a zone school. However, Pinellas County also does have A-rated zone schools. You can also request a special assignment request, SAR, and if you are zoned for a failing school, you can request to get into a better school. You don't have to be in a failing school to do a special assignment request. This isn't typically granted, so they couldn't handle every single person. Generally, they like to see a good reason. Say, for example, you work really early and you leave your house at 7 and you're driving across the county. Your kid can't get on the bus that early, so you're going to actually drop them off at the zone school near to your office. They can only do this if there is space at that school that you're trying to get into. Another downfall of this past year, the application period was from April 1st to April 15th. So, and there is a late application period. I feel like all these places have late application periods, just so you can't say, hey, you only gave me 2 weeks to apply. Not very likely. There is no public transportation provided for special assignment requests. So reach out to Pinellas County School Board Student Assignment for more details. So next we have fundamental schools. There is an application deadline. There's a huge focus on behavior. Children can be removed from the school if parents do not comply or have minor issues. So I know when there was a school tour happening at one of the fundamental schools, which was A-rated, the principal gave this story, and I believe the child was either in kindergarten or first grade, but the child had left their book bag or inside the car the drop off. So the child made it to the classroom before the bell rang. The parent part brought the book bag in a minute or two after the bell rang. Well, the child essentially got written up for not being responsible and having their bag on time before the bell rang. And if you get so many of these, you can be asked to leave. If parents do not go to the parent meetings, or participate in the volunteer, whether it's safety patrol, fundraising, then they're not allowed to stay at the school. I mean, having parent involvement is great. And that is one of the key factors in seeing a thriving school, is having good community. The downside to this is, one, the application period. People are applying in January for this. They find out in March. But if you're moving new to a district and you don't know about this, and you have a kid that's 4 years old, they're not turning 5 until September 1st, you might not think in January to apply for a fundamental school. And if you don't think about that until March, you're probably going to be on the wait list. The volunteer hours, well, whether a family has a kid that goes to this school plus another school, I mean, you might have a high schooler, a middle schooler, and elementary schooler. It's hard for parents to break up their time between all these schools plus whatever sports, or if they're a single family, single parent home, or they're working multiple jobs, or they're working different hours, it makes it difficult. So it's a great option to have. A lot of these fundamental schools are A-rated. Great option to have, cannot be our only option. So I called on July 20th. Here are the wait lists: 61 kids in Pasadena Fundamental, 212 in Bay Vista. Madera had 314. Now, I did the same phone call a couple of years ago, and the numbers were in the 700s. So I don't know if people are either scared of COVID or fed up with COVID, but these numbers are way lower than what they were a couple years ago. Next, I will talk about magnet school. Again, same thing with the application process that I was talking about fundamental schools. Same thing happens with magnet. They are typically A-rated. They are focused learning. So this is great because if the child is interested in a specific program, say they like STEM, or if they're into STEAM, whatever the magnet focuses on, then attracting kids that already have that interest. When a kid is interested in learning, it becomes much easier. The same goes for adults, whether, if we're doing a workout and we hate the workout versus we're doing something fun that we enjoy, we'll work out more. And so this goes with magnet schools. They tend to have a more focused learning, and hopefully they attract students that have common interests. And so all the curriculum would circle around and align with that common interest. A lot of failing schools have been turned in to magnet programs, and then they can bring kids in from around the district. This also is kind of strange when you see a school that's like within a school. It almost seems like the have and the have-nots, because the school was failing, but now they have half of it being a different program and students from all over. So now the school technically isn't failing because test scores have changed throughout. We see that with Ridgecrest, although that's not a magnet school. It's a gifted program inside a school. So their overall performance is altered. So again, I did the same thing and called to get the wait list, and found it really interesting that Bay Point did not have a wait list. So if you do have a child and you are watching this in 2021, you can try to get your child in. Florida Virtual is different from the Pinellas County Virtual. I don't have much information about this. It's definitely a great option, whether you travel more or you have COVID fears and want your child wearing a mask or not being around kids who are not masked. great option. You know, this is all about having the option that fits you, your child, your family. And every family, even with multiple kids, could have different needs between kids. So next we have charter school, which I absolutely love. So let's start off first. What is a charter school? They are tuition free, public schools that are privately run and operated. And Pinellas charters must get approval by Pinellas County School Board or university, or they must file an appeal if they are denied. Why are they so good? If charters do not perform well, so all kids have to take the state standardized test, they are closed after 2 years. Whereas traditional public schools can fail and they remain open. There are more incentives for charters, admin, and boards to make sure their students perform well or they are shut down. Additionally, the more students that enroll, the more funding that a charter gets, and they can use this money to either pay their teachers more or to provide better programs. So when the student leaves the charter school, that funding stops immediately. The charter no longer gets the funding for that student. So more students equals more money for the charter school to help more students. They can tailor their interests. So just like I was saying about the magnet schools, it's always great to have interest based on what the child needs. Look, we don't all go into the same career field. I can't imagine doing certain jobs, and other people absolutely love it. Whereas people can't imagine doing my job, and I love it. I get to play with babies and kids all day long. So I absolutely love my job. I hate my husband's job. He's in IT. Drive me nuts. You know, that's why I married him, so he can do all my IT. And I don't have to. So just like that, we want charters that are innovative and think of different programs for kids based on their interests, because this will increase their eagerness to learn. My husband may have loved going to a school that focused on programming and technology, whereas I would have loved a charter school and program that focused on psychology and nutrition and children. So this is a great thing about charters. So one thing I did is I've been working with charters now it'll be coming up on 5 years that I've been working with charters and researching them. And years ago, I had no idea what a charter was, and I had no idea how many people hated charters or why. So I would get these comments, and now just a couple weeks ago, I put the question out there. When you hear the word charter, what comes to mind? So I took every negative point that came up, and none of them are new. These are the same ones I've been having for years, and came up with these myths. They don't have to take in special need kids. This is absolutely false. The truth is, Section 6 of the Model Florida Charter application, which you can download right now, if you just type that into Google, it'll bring you to the Florida Department of Education, FLDOE, and you will see that ESC is a section in there where they need to take in special needs. It is the main reason that charters are denied, because they don't know how to deal with 504 plans and IEPs. Next, they get more money per student than traditional public schools. This is totally false. In Pinellas County, traditional public schools get over $9,000 per student. Charter schools receive almost $7,000 per student. Charters have total flexibility to do whatever they want. I think they should, but no, charters must have X number of minutes per day, X number of minutes per reading per day, and curriculum must meet Florida state standards. One thing I should say on here, and I will edit this PowerPoint, they still need to take the state standardized tests that all traditional public schools take. And at the end of the test, if so many kids fail, the charter schools are shut down. They don't pay their teachers. False. Well, many charters, year one, they have to come up. I mean, year one, first, you have to balance your budget, what provides security and transportation and curriculum and things for teachers, from salary to workers' comp, insurance. So money is tight in year one unless someone is starting out with $500,000. Charters do their best to pay teachers. Charters that have been operating for a while, that have gotten rid of that year one startup cost of, desks and bookshelves and gym equipment. Once they get past that, and computers, once they get past these startup costs, they have a lot more cash flow, so then they can pay their teachers more. So there are many charters that actually pay their teachers more than traditional public schools. But at the end of the day, it's the teacher right to decline a job. So if she wants to work there, he wants to work there, it's their right to decline the job. Myth about charter schools. Continue. Charters can charge tuition. False. They are public schools. They cannot charge a penny. They all launder money. It's very rare for a charter school to launder money. Just like it's, we see school districts and superintendents of traditional public schools that have laundered money. We see politicians. So, human nature, there are people that are greedy, but this is not typical for charter schools. Okay, for-profit charters are evil. This is very interesting. I always use this example. We don't care if the ice cream shop makes a profit. We don't care if our plumber makes a profit. We don't care if our nail technician, whatever. We don't care if any of these people make a profit. They go into business, they provide us a service we value, and we want them to earn money, just like we want to earn money, whether we work for a company or we work for ourselves. So why would we think anything different in education? And in fact, in education, above all, like if someone is educating my baby, my daughter, and I want more for that teacher, for that program. I'm the type that is always trying to sponsor things at my kids' school. So I can't understand when people say this. Not to mention, a lot of teachers go on to start charter schools. KIPP, Knowledge is Power program. Last time I checked a couple years ago, had about 220 locations, and they were expanding across the US. That charter school was started by two teachers who thought they could do better for kids in these failing areas. So these are two teachers that took the hard work on themselves. I think I looked at their salary, and if I'm not mistaken, they were making $500,000 a year or close to it. And I think, go for it. We're always talking about teachers need more money. Well, let's reward these teachers who really know what to do, who really care about these kids and are brilliant and have the innovation. Let's give them that money to succeed and put on these programs. Why do we think that teachers cannot be rich? If they're good at what they do, we want to keep them in that profession. We don't want everyone to become a lawyer and making money that way, or to become some entrepreneur elsewhere. Let's keep the entrepreneur ideas in education. That's where innovation and brilliance comes from. One more point I was going to say about this. Can't remember. Okay. Oh, I was going to say, so if it costs a teacher $1,000 to get the student to read, and they get to pocket that additional $6,000, let them pocket that $6,000. They deserved it. Just like, if this lady comes and cleans your house and you agree to pay her $50 and she cleans your house in 30 minutes and your house is sparkling clean, and you're supposed to pay her $50 an hour, we got to let them have it. We cannot try to take that money away from hardworking people. All right, myth, charter schools, steal money from public schools. False, charter schools are public schools. If the child leaves the charter school, the money leaves the charter too. Thus, if the child is enrolled in using the service, who exactly is stealing and what exactly are they stealing? They're going to the school, they're using public services, so nothing is actually being stolen. stolen. Look at me speaking like this. Okay. They do not need approval from Pinellas County School Board. Oh, sorry, we're on to private schools. So private schools, they do not need approval from Pinellas County School Board to open and operate. They do have a great deal of flexibility. They don't have to take the standardized test. They don't have to go to school every day. They have so much flexibility. And this is very interesting because if they have all this flexibility, then it's like, who's being accountable to them, right? Who's holding them accountable? The average cost of a private school in Pinellas County is $7,000. So they don't have accountability, or sorry, I shouldn't say they don't have accountability. Who is holding accountability and people are paying them $7,000? Let's get to that. So we know there are scholarships that will cover full price or partial price of these tuitions. There's the Florida Empowerment Scholarship, FES, Step Up. They're combining all into one. Gardner, McKay were if your child had special needs, but now they're also accepting siblings of students that have special needs. AAA, Hope is if your child has been bullied. And it's not just special needs. I mean, you could be allergic to like latex. So don't think you may not qualify. It's always worth it to apply. There are many other scholarships out there. Just look into it. These are the more popular ones in Florida. So the application might take you some time to go get through, but I guarantee there is not a single person listening to this podcast that makes $7,000 an hour. So I recommend doing the application and see if you get that $7,000. Gardner, McKay, I believe they're even up to $10,000. A family of 4 can make up to, it's almost $100,000. I think it's like $99,375 and still qualify for parts of these scholarships. There are also many private schools that offer in-house scholarships. So whether that is for academics or financial need, they will help supplement the additional fees not covered by these scholarships. So to give you an idea, I know, first of all, like I said, the average cost is $7,000. So you may be going totally tuition free. Some of them are $5,000 and $6,000. But let's say that, okay, Admiral Farragut down the street from here is, last time I checked, was about $14,000 a year for kindergarten, unfortunately. But $7,000 straight off, you're down to $7,000 you would have to pay. There is the child tax credit. If you could apply it to that out of $7,000, you're down now to $4,000. And then on top of that, they may give you $2,500 to $3,000 financial based scholarship. So that would leave you somewhere between $1,000, maybe $1,500 to $2,000 you'd have to pay spread out over 1 year. So we're talking about less than $200 a month to go to this school, Admiral Farragut. Now that's someplace that's charging $14,000 or $15,000 a year. There are many schools that charge $10,000 a year, and they do a bartering system where whether you're helping with safety patrol, stuffing envelopes, or marketing, you can get your scholarship down even more. So do not think that you cannot afford a private school. Check them out, tour them. There are sports scholarships, music scholarships. There are so many things out there. Make education a priority in your family. So homeschooling, unschooling. Well, I never thought I would ever want to unschool or homeschool my daughter until I got to this point where I was homeschooling my daughter in preschool. So you can teach either by yourself or participate in a co-op. There's so much free software online. We used Easy Peasy Christian Homeschooling, and it was literally easy peasy. It was free. We used it as a guide, and then we supplemented with our own things. My daughter started reading. I think she was probably 3 years old when she started reading. We did use that program, and we did do co-ops. So there are so many co-ops out there, especially in Pinellas County. They really have a huge co-op program, and you can find everything. I've seen the hippie co-ops, the very conservative, strict Christian co-ops, the unschooling, the my child has a special need and therefore the schools cannot accommodate, to my child is extremely gifted and my child and the schools can't accommodate, to I'm zoned for a bad failing school, and that's why I'm going to homeschool, to I don't like the government and that's why I'm going to homeschool. So there's really something out there for everyone, and there are drop off programs, there are every parent teaches a class program, there are just pay for your classes. So many things are out there. I encourage getting onto Facebook or searching the web and just put it in there. If you are a Facebook user, once you go into one of the main groups, you can kind of post in there, and there are so many parents that will direct you. There are stay-at-home dad homeschool groups. There's so much. So post into there and they will direct you. You can also email me and I would be happy to direct you. I've hosted a lot of programs for homeschoolers, so I'd be happy to direct you. What is so important about this is you are your kid's teacher. I myself couldn't do this full time. We do a hybrid model where my daughter goes to school Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and Tuesdays and Thursdays we homeschool. But if you feel that you are good at this and if it suits your personality, definitely check it out. They get obviously so much more attention. You're not homeschooling all day long. Like it usually just takes a couple hours because you only have one kid and you don't have to spend all the time with all these other kids and trying to catch them up. I mean, even if you have 3 kids, I'm just saying you don't spend the whole day with one single kid. You can barter and trade with other families to get your kids' education needs met. So maybe you're cooking for the family, or maybe you're going to do construction work and that other family is going to help you with reading or help you with math. There is so much out there. And I mean, you can purchase curriculum and spend a couple $1,000s, or you can purchase curriculum and spend $50, or you can use free curriculum. So much is out there. So what do we want our elected officials to do when it comes to school choice? How do they actually support it? And I've talked to candidates running for school board. I've talked to people running for representatives. I've talked to people running for Senate, and they're not really clear on what they can do. So I would love if every single candidate zoomed in on this part. There is so much we can do. So I've gone to different debates for mayors, and I've heard them talk about transportation being a fundamental right for citizens. Well, what about these kids who cannot drive? What about their right to transportation? So public schools and charter schools should definitely have access to public transportation. Now, where I grew up in the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio, the private schools were allowed to use the public transportation. I'm pretty sure the charter schools were also, there weren't charter schools when I was growing up, but I'm pretty sure that they also have public transportation currently. I did tour some charter schools there a couple of years ago, but I did not confirm that. So we want our private and charter schools to have access to the buses. 32 to 38% of all of our taxes are taken out for property, plus when we purchase items. So we want that money going back into buses. That is something school board members can do today. If they all voted, they can do that today. So that family that needs a child going to the special needs school, or that family who needs the child going to the gifted program, or that family that has the child that needs to go to the magnet program, they should all have access to public transportation through the school buses. Parents should provide additional resources. So when you are doing a charter school, you need to budget. You need to have your year 1, year 3, year 5 projections. And speech therapists are expensive. You're paying like $100 an hour. Reading specialists can be over $100 an hour. So whether we are working with students that are ESE or 504s, I know the district is not paying 200 grand a year for speech therapists. They're probably paying 50 or 60 grand a year for a speech therapist, which comes to $25 to $30 an hour. Give that same rate to the charter and public schools. Let us pay for those, the charter and private schools. Let them pay those resources the same amount that you're paying them. Let's share on that cost. There can be software sharing, whether that's security software or programs inside the classroom. All of these items should definitely be shared to reduce the rates that these schools are paying, so more money can go back into the classrooms and helping the students. Remember, our goal is to help the students, not to have the biggest bureaucracy. Allow private, charter, and homeschoolers to use vacant building space. Well, this by law is given to charter schools, but the district does not make that very known or easy to use. I know there are vacant portable units, vacant schools, half the buildings are vacant, and there's a lot of vacancy. We should give these vacancies to private schools and also to homeschoolers. I host a lot of homeschoolers at our swimming pool, and they were looking like a couple weeks ago where to go when it starts raining. I mean, why can't these homeschoolers just get a room to be at so they can continue their homeschooling days when it's raining outside, because normally they're at a park? Allow for homeschooling families to participate in more classes at zone schools. So PE, music, or whatever class they want. Now, we need to remember that when students are homeschooled, we are getting free teachers. There are probably, I wouldn't be surprised if there are over 1,000 students homeschooled in Pinellas County. And now with this year, there's probably like a couple thousand students that are being homeschooled. So that means we're getting like 1,000 free teachers and we're not paying workers' comp and everything else that goes into hiring a teacher. So let's support these teachers. And, if they want their kid to go to PE or music class, this is a very easy logistical thing that we can help these kids with. And I think we really should be more supportive. All right, here's a big one. Create a welcoming environment for school choice by hosting webinars and seminars to encourage more and more mom and pop private and charter schools to open. So when I say mom and pop, it literally means people in the community. Let's get people in the community to open charter schools, not just these large chains that come in, which chains can be good at times, but as I said earlier, the best schools have a community feel. When we work as a community and we are united for a common cause, we are more inspired and more passionate, and there's more, I don't know if it's self-pressure or respect, the respect for ourselves and the respect for our communities, that we try harder. So when we have a mom and pop charter, like someone in the community starts it, who's involved in the community, who cares, who has that love and passion to help their community, they tend to thrive more. So you might think like, I don't even know how to go about doing a charter. There's 22 sections to it, and everything from curriculum to bylaws to marketing to security and transportation and food services, finances. I don't know how to do it. But if we had more of these seminars hosted by the district, then community members might come together at these meetings and say, hey, I can take over the finance part. Let me help you. If you can handle work, take over the curriculum aspect. Let's come together. Let's work together on these. And now we have a step-by-step on how to handle these applications. And we come together as a community to make this school, whether there's 7 kids in the charter school or 700 kids. The goal is always and has to be to do what's best for the individual child and not for the bureaucracy. I did have one more point that slipped my mind. Let me see if I can remember it really quick. Private charters. Yeah. Anyways, if you guys have more questions, there, yeah, I got it now. So I believe what should happen is every student that is enrolling into a failing school, they should get a list of all their school options. They should get a list of the private schools, the scholarships that they could apply for, the charter schools, and that's just something the school board could also mandate, that every failing school needs to provide the options to these parents, so parents know they don't need to just enroll into this failing school. All right, that concludes what I was going to talk about today. If you have additional questions, definitely give me an email. And we look forward to helping you and speaking to you very soon. Thank you.